What's going on, everybody? It's Triple Play coming at you on a Saturday. That's right. We are recording off schedule today. It's a bright and cold Saturday out, so it's perfect time to stay in, talk some baseball. And what better way to talk baseball today with our special guest? And I want to tell everybody, we welcome in a man who, when he enters a room, he makes his presence felt immediately. This guy is part of the FTN Fantasy Network, where he hosts Cork Stats and talks bets while also giving you all the Brooklyn that you can handle. One of the smartest men you'll ever meet as he talks stocks, goes in advanced MLB analysis with his MLB moving averages algorithm, and is a dynamite writer. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to the man behind the line graphic logo, Mr. John LaGrezza. What's up, man?
Oh my goodness, that was really something. As good as I am at giving out the flattery that I feel so deeply, man, I'm not very good at receiving it. That was really humbling. That was really humbling. Yeah, it's true. I'm kind of out of nowhere, and you're right. I don't know how to be any other way. It's always served me well. So, I gotta be me. I gotta be me. I didn't even think you're gonna get me singing there. I'll croon for you too, guys. Hold on. Now it's my turn. Man, you guys are just one of, if not my favorite new parts of the industry. And it's not just on kind of a granular level. Like, I like you and the content. There's so much more, and it's what you guys embody, the branding, the chemistry, the friendship, the passion, the energy, the stats, and really what's important, this is what's funny, this is the thing I said, let's jump on the air before we did this off the air is, and I have found myself on the tip of this spear, and I find you guys are also there and doing a very good job at it. And what I'm referring to is trying to bridge this gap to the public for this new understanding that we have, the new information. Oversimplified, it's the StatCast era. But it's the understanding that we have of what's happening with the release of the ball during its flight, after it gets batted, and the path and expected results and the theory behind it. Now, there are some people who just kind of read the stats, make it very boring, and it goes over people's heads. Then you have cavemen like me dragging knuckles, trying to make it relatable. And I feel like you guys are the porridge that's just right. And you've done a really great job of taking the new stuff and kind of bridging it with the old stuff. And I have a true story for you. The man I'm talking about, I was trying to get him on my podcast. I've been twisting his arm. It's my father-in-law, right? So he's almost 70 years old. He's been watching baseball for almost a century. And he kind of represents the old baseball fan that feels left out, right? And it's funny, he wants to be a part of it and doesn't appreciate the stuffed shirts that don't appreciate it, right? The people that talk down about it, the announcers that make fun of it or don't understand it clearly and like misrepresent it. So I kind of put you guys on for him, right? You were the guy. I was like, Bobby, they're a little bit younger than me. I was like, but I'm a little over my shoes with that. I'm not as cool as my age, And that was it. Like, he really felt it. And dude, he's 70. He rebuilt his entire garage as like a bar. It's phenomenal. I'm definitely going to post pictures of it if he says, okay, it's crazy. And you sit back, you're knocking back old whiskeys, and we're talking baseball, watching it, talking shop. And you guys were on in the household. So there's no better compliment, for me to you, bottom of my heart, seriously, I mean it. And, if I'm one of the leaders of this, group of fringe lunatics of new kind of baseball analysts, I am so proud that, you guys are in the foxhole with me. I really mean it, man. All that stuff straight up, for real.
John, you're going to make me cry. I'm like...
It's passion. And that's what we have in common. Is that not what we have in common? It's a passion that you couldn't... Dude, wild horses couldn't drag me away. Is it Saturday? Are some people off today? I was up at 5:30 singing before the birds, baby, ready to get cracking, crushing stats. I can't wait. Like, when this is your life and this is your love, that comes through. And I think that's what I meant about you guys. So save the tears until after, guys. Save the tears.
Yeah. I just hope to get invited to this bar and drink some whiskey, talk baseball. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I try to get him to do it because he's a bit He's a bit of a crazy person. And it's funny. I think that's the bridge between my wife, because if you saw my wife, she is like a smoking hot dime piece. And aside from the fact we're like, I'm like Homer and she's like Marge, or I'm like, Peter Griffin and she's like Lois, it's funny because that is kind of the bridge. Her dad is this wild man with this love for life, dude. Oh my God, at 70, you'd think he was 45. Just don't look at the bald spots, and it's everything to us. And that's what this is, man. You only go around this merry-go-round once, right? You only go around once. I'm making the very most of it. And every time that my horsey passes, you'll see me like waving. Because we got to make the most of it, man. So I really feel welcomed here, but I mean that. It wasn't BS. You guys are like, there's a real communal sense here, and I know that is talked about a lot in the industry. I don't know if I necessarily feel that with a lot of people because I'm so different. I've been described by my boss, much respect, Kevin, who gave me he lets me let my freak flag fly. He calls me the knuckleballer, and it's true. And I kind of embrace that I do it so differently, but I try and think of myself as a pro nonetheless, right? Even if I may be doing it completely different than everyone, but I really feel a true connection. But let's talk about some baseball, right? That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I mean, again, your energy that you bring is so infectious. And so when you agreed to come on the show, I knew this was going to be just a fire type of show. I knew this was going to be energy, people that are struggling on their Saturday morning to get motivated. That's what you're here for. You're going to motivate people. We're going to talk baseball. We're going to have a great old time because, I mean, stats, data, all that stuff is starting to come out now. So we can really kind of immerse ourselves in what we've seen over these first few days. And I know people want the overreaction piece. And I feel since it's only 2 days into the season, let's hold off on that just a little bit. And let's have people that are still kind of freaking out right now with the strategy aspect of the game, right? Those headaches that we're trying to figure out what to do with streaming, closers, two-start pitcher breakouts, all the stuff that you kind of are looking at to start the season to get ahead, right? Well, you're the guy for the job. So I want to dive right in here. And let's first talk about closers, all right? Closers are something that everybody's been talking about with these bullpens. Guys already, Trevor Rosenthal going down. You have guys like Mark Melanson, who looked horrible in spring training, already stepping in and getting a couple saves. So for people that are freaking out about closers, about to just blow their entire fab budget on a bunch of these guys, what is your approach, John, for how you approach closers throughout the season? And as far as fab goes, maybe mistakes that you might try to avoid.
Okay, well, there's a lot to unpack. I think first things first, we've all made our beds, and now we have to sleep in them. So I think one of the initial takeaways would be, I happen to be one of those people that was right. I'm sure we're going to get to a ton of things I got wrong. I wear them on my sleeve. But one of the things that I did get right, and I'm generally not a closer guy because I feel like you can find them. I felt the difference here was the very few guys with the potential for 35, let's say, are no longer going to take 2 roster spots to fill. They're going to take 3 roster spots to fill. They may take 4 roster spots to fill if you're the person that missed that boat and now you're scrambling, right? So even though it is okay to churn and burn relievers, I think that's a great strategy. I like to have one space, right? I almost kind of think of that space as reserved, and maybe there's like a small bowl spinning there. I'd like to kind of assign each of my bench spots the role. And that makes it easier to execute. So if you went into the season knowing that even in a shallow NFBC, one of your bench spots was designated to churn for saves, then you go about doing that. And right now you're not really freaking out. You're just kind of churning. And if you needed a second spot, then maybe. But if you need a third, now you got to be careful because this is going to get you off strategy. I would also always suggest when you get caught, kind of let's ride the blimp up and take like a 35,000 foot view. But let's get all the way up and look, survey the entire battlefield and see like if there might be any edge to be had. So I think we need to understand, first of all, that the landscape has changed. There were just a few guys that are going to get it, and they could get hurt, and then it may change. There's only a few clubs that seem dedicated to the role in general. Yankees and Astros, maybe even the Blue Jays are kind of smelling that way to me. I know that's been argued, but it's very limited is what I'm getting at. So what that means kind of subsequently, like down the road, is keeping in mind that now it takes 3 guys instead of 2, meaning they're now 10 and 11 save guys opposed to like 18, 19. Just do less replacing. I think you have to be satisfied with less, not needing 3 of every 5 save chances because there might not be a lot of that. and you might have passed on a guy that was getting 2, and that may have been better than the 1 you traded it for. So I think that's what I mean is, if I take my kind of zoom out, I'm saying, all right, this has changed. The right answer was to draft at least 1 really good closer early. If you miss that boat, you miss that boat. The best way to go about it now would generally be for me to target 8th inning guys with high K rates, low walk rates. We're looking for underlying stuff. And also, for as much stuff as I feel like I specialize in, I'm also not too proud to outsource work. Relieving is a specialty, and I look to those who specialize in it, and I'm not too proud to apply their work. Now, I don't follow anybody blindly, but Greg Jewett's work, his board that's pinned his tweet, is going to lead you in the right direction. Okay, he does the best that he can. His work is incomparable right now, but nobody knows the right answers when it comes to playing time and stuff like that. But he will get you the names, let's say. So I think that's my answer, is kind of be as proactive as possible. My answer is never to overspend in fab, because right now there isn't a guarantee. I mean, are we talking about Diekman? Is that where you were getting at? I think I almost not even sure. I want to know Rosenthal is kind of finished before I go, you know what, someone's going to go 45% of their budget. To me, that's a losing maneuver. To me, that's not a winning maneuver. That's a losing maneuver. And I feel like I could prove that. And I was fun to try. Like, I'm a newer NFBC player, maybe 2 or 3 years. And TGFBI, when you're playing competitive people all chasing saves, I did that, but I saved 2 spaces. Like I said, the 2 churn spots, and I did awesome. I don't think I drafted a single save, just as I was wrong. That was the year with the Red Sox. It was going to be Barnes, right? Barnes and Brazier, and it was neither of them. And it wasn't either, right? And I also thought the Red Sox were going to be good. So I thought I had the closer on a 90-win team, and I had no closers on a 75-win team or whatever it was. Totally disappointing, but that happens. So what you do is you just kind of, like I said, step back and say, okay, whose jobs might be in jeopardy, right? So that might be filter number 1. Who's in that bullpen that might be electric, filter number 2. And then what I'm learning to apply, guys, which I hate because it's my least favorite part of the game, is the business side, which is options and arbitration. So in 25 million words or less, it was a kind of a lot to unpack, like I said. So it's never, for me, it's never just that easy. Decisions are never in a vacuum. There's always nuance and if-then kind of logic trees to think about where the least road to ruin is. But yeah, that's what I'd say is, if I had my back up against the wall, I'm kind of determining that there's an issue and then how I'm going to go about it. And for me, it's roll and it's underlying stats. And then you kind of try and grab them early. Put out a $6 bid, an $8 bid. Try and nab that guy as fast as you can and kind of cross your fingers, but be willing to get rid of him. If that's kind of part of the game also. That pot's always kind of stirred.
So let me ask you about this guy. This is kind of another category of player, and then I'll go to you, Cheesecake and Doc. Someone like a Julian Merriweather for Toronto, who came in, got the save obviously because it was an extra inning game, but looked really, really good. Is that somebody that might be on your radar to try to grab now, just before, if something were to happen to Romano, he's going to be like a Jake Diekman now, or is that you're letting him be?
No, I have to let that be. I would make the $6 bid, the $8 bid if I had Romano, because. And it goes to the reason why I'm not overbidding on Merriweather is because I feel like Romano has the job. So that being my first filter opportunity, I don't think it's to be had in Toronto. However, if you really are struggling with starting pitching, now maybe Merriweather kind of tips the balance of a ratio guy that maybe he could be a viable week-to-week guy for you. Again, man, I've heard a lot of this. You could start relievers. I'm not sure the volume is there. I worry about falling behind in total Ks. Ratios, listen, they can be excellent stopgaps. I've been known to have Adam Ottavino the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. But it's been very good. It's just kind of plug them in when you don't want to get destroyed. And that's fine. But yeah, I want roll. I happen to mention Toronto, but it's research, so it's not a guess. It's inferenced that Toronto's on the short list of teams that I have that use a closer. People are looking at the game log, at the totals last year, I should say, but they're ignoring the context of the game log. It wasn't like they were switching. It was a closer, then it was a different closer, then it was a different closer. Now, granted, It wasn't the same, but there were injuries, and it doesn't mean they never change because of role. But they don't Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, these guys, it seems like. They kind of have one and at least going to give them a run. So I wouldn't be jumping Merriweather until Romano starts to hiccup at the very least.
Cheesecake, let's have you jump in here a little bit. What are your thoughts on how closers are being approached right now? Are you going to try to overspend for guys? You picked up Melanson in one of the leagues we're in. Obviously, that didn't cost any money. It's not a fab league. But if someone like him is on your waiver wire or anybody else in general, what's your approach to picking up closers?
Well, I have to echo what John was saying, that if you should have tried to get someone who you felt really had the job in the draft. And if you didn't, you're either in a punt save strategy or you're scrapping with everybody. And the point is that picking up a guy now, spending a lot of fab on a guy now, doesn't guarantee that he's the closer. For example, Tanner Scott was a big pickup last weekend, and Cesar Valdez got the first save that Baltimore, and Scott was the 8th inning guy. Now, Baltimore might mix and match with that. Scott might still end up with 10 to 15 saves, but you did spend a lot of your fab, and now that money's out the window. It's gone. So your best bet at this point, especially with someone like Melanson, and knowing I feel like San Diego sticks with their is a coach. Tingler's a coach that sticks with his closer as well. Based on last season, they were like Toronto. They had injuries, but they had one at a time when they were between the injuries. I think with Melanson, because I think he is sort of just a get the job done type closer, I'm not going to throw a ton at him because I feel like his ratios might be a little bit wonky, but I'm going to throw a bid at Melanson if he's available, but it's not going to be over, $100. It's going to be something modest. Whereas if everyone in my league is sleeping, I get them type of thing. I really like to get other guys. Like right now, I'm sitting on 3 guys who might get the role. Lucas Sims, who's Cincinnati's going to be mixing and matching this year. Reyes Maranta, who I might have to get rid of him because
you might have to lose some weight probably.
He hasn't looked quite healthy yet. But I'm not going too crazy with anything right now. I'm really trying to look ahead. Another guy I want to throw out there, Mike Carter, does a lot of good bullpen stuff for Roto Fanatic. And also I know Mike, I use him as a resource. I DM him if I have bullpen questions as well. He's another guy who's really smart about bullpens and who I use.
Doc, do you want to put the cherry on top of this Sunday and finish this out for us?
Yeah, kind of just echoing what both of they say. I think you also have to look how the managers use the bullpen. And I know something like the Rays this year, Diego Castillo has gotten both saves, but historically Kevin Cash is somebody that hasn't committed to one person. But then juxtaposing that with Tony La Russa, that is typically a one closer type of guy. And one of the things I try to avoid too is I feel like closers in places like Baltimore and Colorado, I know obviously Zach Britton years ago, but they historically don't have great success. They might give you the saves, but they're prone to blow up as well. And I think sometimes, like John said, you have to take a shot on a setup man that has good ratios or one that plays for a good team. Because think about the Dodgers. Kenley Jansen is the closer now, but if they're in 4 save situations in a week, Kenley Jansen might get 2, Bruce Gratterall might get 1, Blake Treinen might get 1. And if Kenley Jansen goes down, then those guys might be in line for increased saves. So I think anytime that you can take a chance on somebody that's on a good team that's going to have a lot of save opportunities, and like he said, spend those $6 to $8 bids, so it's more speculative with a potential chance to be, pay off even more.
Well said. Let's talk about something else that makes people tear their hair out, and that's streamers. And so I'm curious.
John was trying to hop back in.
And you knew I was going to. Well, I had mute myself for that reason on purpose because I. That's why I have to next I'm going to have a shock. I was like a shock mute button or something. But no. But it was just because it's very important. We're in that time of year, and you mentioned Fab, and that was the part of the outline it was on. Okay, so there's just one kind of mindset thing approaching this. And this kind of goes to all kind of auctions. And for me, sometimes it's baseball card auctions that I might be brokering and getting in the middle of or auctioning off for something. And it's the mindset in an auction and being careful of not falling into that need to win. Okay, so we're not at the point in the season where there should be really any need to win bids. I don't know. it's not like Rosenthal is out for the year. You know, had he been out for the year, maybe that might feel like a must, like a need where the cash is getting used for the entire season. But aside from that, at this point of the year, it's not there. You can let other people win. The beauty of the auction is you setting the price. That's the other side of the scale that I was getting at, that people forget. Like, in my experience, I will always find I'm always more satisfied when I use a price that would make me happy. And if I get it at that price, I'm happy. And if I didn't get it at the price I really liked, in retrospect, I find I'm happy. Even in maybe right off the bat, you find, oh, I wish I won him, of course, right? That's a human instinct. I'm not saying I'm without those, but I would say I have spent decades now trying to smooth those edges from trading and high-speed futures and now into high-stakes baseball plus betting and stuff. You know, it's really important that you're not reactive. It's just really important because mistakes beget mistakes, and especially when you work for yourself, you know, these are more like this. It's turned into a Tony Robbins thing, but it really is a truth, you know, because we're talking about auctioning, and you do these things alone generally, or I do at least. You have to self-audit. There's no one there to check on you. So if you botch it and you just don't address it, that's a pathway to more mistakes. You know, so I like to go into auctions. Give yourself the perfect price. With 3 weeks to go, then it's like, I need to save worse than my, you know, left pinky finger. I'm going to give it. But right now, we're not at that point. None of these situations, though they may feel like it, are that critical. You got to just chill out. We all, and this is coming from me, like the living Tasmanian devil. You know, I just spent 7 months preparing for something, and as everyone else, I feel like the starting gun hit, and everyone started running, and I'm like, yo, where you going? You know, where you go? We can't possibly run at that speed for the entire time, and I'm used to keeping pace. So it's just like, you know, man, you got to let the at-bats happen. We need regular plate appearances. We're going to need warm weather. Like, there's a lot of stuff, and that stuff matters to Fab also. Because it's based on the context, and the context is ever changing. So to spend 30-40% with so little information in a game where the dollar of Fab is more valuable with more information gained is kind of counterintuitive. It's probably counterproductive. Doesn't mean that it can't work, because anybody could step into shite and it could work. But you wanted to bring me on for this kind of stuff. So like that's a big thing for Fab for me is I set the price, right? You set the price. Get your price. You dictate it. You don't have to pay it if you don't want to. But people feel like they have to. And I've heard about these people who all Sunday they just raise the bid. Did something happen that I missed? Like, I didn't know. I'm just serious. Unless, again, someone is hurt on Sunday, again, away from actionable information. When I hear that, and maybe you're one of those people, maybe you're not, no one has to confess. But for anyone that hears it, that is, to me, that's an inherent flaw. Okay, there's a process flaw. There's a lack of commitment. Maybe don't set the bid then. Change your process. If you're at a point where you're going to continuously change it, I would leave it blank and not fill it in until I was committed, until I was at a point where I said, this is the price I'm paying, not a penny more, not a penny more. Because if you're willing to shift the price, it makes me worry about the work that went into it, right? I mean, I'm going to oversimplify, but 2 + 2 is 4. You can't tell me it's not. I got that. So like I did the work. Now, if we get into some chalkboard full of Goodwill Hunting stuff, might be lost, right? And I'm going to say, oh, no, maybe it is 2 or 3 or 4. Then I'm not willing to bet on that yet. You know what I mean? You kind of think of it as a bet. You don't put in the bet unless you're never sure, but unless you're as sure as you're going to get. So for me, I'm not into the sliding Fab. That I don't do. I think that would be another one, because you could blow 10% of your Fab budget. Changing 3 bids, $30 doesn't seem like a lot, and all of a sudden it was the same bid, and you might have won with the original one. Now, like, oh, forget it,
right?
Yeah, it's a total waste. So, yeah, there's always process behind the process and all that stuff. Yeah.
John, do you mind me asking how many relievers you usually roster on your NFBC teams?
All right, okay. Standalone is a little bit different. Right now across the board, I want the 1A, and this is the first time I've ever been that guy where I have to have. I usually try and pick somebody in the top 6 that I think would be top 3, let's say. Like, I mean, again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. So for me this year was Rice Iglesias, right? They gave him the money, and he had the role, and he was going
number 1 closer.
Yeah, and he kind of, I have him as my RP1 just because. People ask me, wow, how did you get to that? I'm like, because it's very hard to repeat. I don't know. It's hard to repeat, and he was the cheapest. So for me, he was my RP1. Had he gone, I gladly would take in Diaz. But my point being, I felt like I needed one of those guys. In overalls, in TGFBI, I actually went with the third one, which is the only time I've really done that. Aside, I don't really want to talk about draft champions. That's too different of an animal. Let's stay within like redraft and fabs and stuff. So there, I think you need a 1A, and then I'd be okay in a standalone league churning that second and third one. Maybe you hit gold, maybe have a half a guy for a little bit. Like people are kind of scratching their heads. I have so many Cesar Valdez shares this year. It was sick. I could probably cut him, and I could cut him, and I think I got a profit already, right? If you draft a guy at 750 and he gets a save in the major leagues and he was in your lineup for it. But I started him this weekend because everybody's dead, had missing people because it was a short week. So it was just funny how that kind of worked out. Thank you, Alex Fast, for that, by the way. That was Alex's call all months ago. But there's that another thing we're talking about, right? I'm always spinning bowls. I'm paying attention the entire year. We talked about specializing, and I'm always following people that are following this stuff. You don't have to always do it on your own, but you should kind of keep one eyeball on it, right? Because that's how you stay sharp, and that's how you stay in front of ADP and closing line value, and on and on.
I mean, so yeah, pretty much you got to make sure you're in the know, make sure you're connected to those on Twitter, especially if they have team specializations like Alex Fast, very connected with the Orioles. Make sure you stick to your guns. Don't stray away from what you've set out you're going to, especially when it comes to fab. And ultimately, it's pretty much just, I would say, just follow your processes like you were saying. It's very much so. Don't stray away from what you think is going to happen. And if you think something different is going to happen and you fail, at least you can say, hey, I had the process behind it. We'll go back to the drawing board. So like everything you said there, people maybe that have drafted Jake Diekman or something might be walking around with their balls in like a wheelbarrow or something right now. But yeah, so let's move on to streamers here. Another topic that is a very popular part of the fantasy baseball world. So my question for you guys is, do you like to stream hitters or pitchers more generally? And what are your top resources that you like to use for streaming? So John, let's go right back to you.
I've just recently began streaming hitters in the NFBC because they allow the midweek. So I think that is what puts it over the top for me. When we're talking about week to week, it also can be very hard to predict those variables, having to see 7 days out and with everybody playing during the weekend. So with weekly moves, I'm probably not streaming hitters. In fact, my benches are generally, we mentioned benches before, my benches are generally almost exclusively pitchers. I like to have hitters that I don't want to take out because I want the plate appearances. I want it. My fear being with hitters, I'm going to kind of loop-de-loop and constantly get whipsawed. I'm changing Dave for Art, and that's where the steals were, and then I swap them again, and I missed again. And now the stats were there for either guy, and I could have gotten nothing. So hitters, in Roto especially, I kind of want them in there. Head-to-head points, I probably am leaning on more recency. Moving averages is in the handle for a reason. I like to view things with what's called, I don't even know, comparative time frames, maybe let's say, because in stock trading, that's one of the best indicators that we have, let's say. Comparing, people right now are using rolling graphs for baseball. I would argue they're not maximizing potential, let's say. So you can have one time frame, 30 days, but you want to really see the 30-day compared to the 60-day, compared to the 90-day. And those things are going to give you ideas of trend indication. And actually on charts, the lines cross, like they physically cross. This is technical analysis. If anybody is looking up their baseball game, there might be some on Wall Street, believe it or not. A lot of these, if you were to take like trading theories and fantasy baseball success theorem and put them together in a Venn diagram, it's like damn close to a circle. A lot of it, so much of it transfers from the mindset to the actual numbers, to the understanding of pattern analysis, and to the, again, not predicting. We don't try and predict anyway. So, stream is for hitters to me. And again, why does it take me 25 million words to say everything? Because I'm so malleable. Because I didn't say 5 years ago, this is how it's done, and I won a championship, and that's it. I'm always back testing and self-auditing. I need to get better because there's so many young people like you, pushing all day and all night, man. Twitter's a fount of information. It's a free platform for any, young go-getter, any little Rocky Balboa out there to go get it on their own. I was one of them. Dude, I have zero training in writing or sports or anything like that. I was a Twitter handle with no followers. And before you know it, I was writing at The Athletic. Last I checked, it's a pretty prestigious place to write. I have no idea how it happened, but there's your story, right? Just freaking work your ass off. Just work, do good work, fill the void. If there's a void of information, boom, you fill it, do it well, do it right, do it consistently, and you can take it off from there. As far as pitching, streaming used to be wonderful, and now I don't think it's as wonderful. We're going to be seeing less 2-start weeks, and the ones that we do, you actually put this in a note, Ray. You kind of asked if I liked the 2-start week.
You can tie that right in, yeah.
I've gotten away from the 2-start week. Now, granted, if it's a pitcher who you think is good, who somehow fell, that's the other thing too. It's like, who are these pitchers that are on the waiver wire that could be going twice? And what I'm getting at is this: the way I like to nab them is you got to pick up the Wednesday starter, right? If you're pitching Wednesday, you're going twice the next week. So I always try and check this Wednesday's board for who's going 2 starts the next time around, and that way you could jump it, or I should say, I'm sorry, I'm one behind. Who is going to be starting? Grab the guy who's going to start on Wednesday because he's going to be going again the next time. I'm sorry. There's that $6 to $8 bid that I was trying. That's what I was trying to get. I just apparently struggling subtracting 2 from 3. When you have this many fingers, enough fingers to do the math, you shouldn't get the number wrong. But these things happen, even to the best of us, and sometimes to the worst of us. But yeah, that's what it is. There's a lot of information to unpack. I love these questions because they take me on these tours, and I'm taking everybody on these like whirlwind rides. But it really is. It's the truth. It really is the truth. I look at everything separately. I used to handle hitters one way. Now I handle them differently. And then depending on the format, I handle them separately. Pitchers, I used to stream all the time. That started blowing up on my face. Now I'd rather have consistent guys, and rather than stream and pay for it a lot of times, I'd rather get the high impact reliever in those circumstances.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting in the way that the fantasy baseball landscape has gone now. I feel like it's more top heavy and bottom than it used to be. There's not this much little gray area. It's like you have the studs that you can expect from, and then you have guys that are not consistent. It kind of sounds like that's what you're saying. It's like, hey, if you're not grabbing these guys that you know what you're getting, then these streamers, they're not as consistent. You can't trust them every week. Even if they have good matchups, they have a opposing lineup that has a low WRC plus against, like it looks good, but it's not, the process isn't always going to be there, right?
Yeah. There really is no objective formula to it. And I think that's another one too. You could listen to me and say, wow, I like these ideas. Maybe these are things I'm going to apply. But even when you get to that point, you have to put your own touch on it. And then even after that, then you have to go test it. So I wish I could say the answer is like X or the answer is Y. It's just not really, it's just not really like that. All we can do, right, is try and always stay in that kind of, probabilistic methodology, right? That's really what we always want to be going back to, putting ourselves in the best position. So for me, if I don't like the streamer now, I'm off the streamer. What do I like? We like high impact pitchers on a per inning basis. Mm-hmm. Let's prioritize them. So I'd rather have one that might give me 6 innings, but if not, I'd rather have the guy that can give me 2 of those than a guy that might give me 5 ugly ones. Because though the jury still seems to be out on the ball this year, we've seen a couple scores get run up. We've seen a couple of whoopsie home runs. Pitchers are getting tanked. Like, you make a mistake in it, especially if you get you get knocked in the first start, it's ruined already, right? You're already ruined. It doesn't even matter. He has to be good to almost even break even. So it's a losing venture, very possibly, but a lot of times now. So yeah, the 2-star thing for me is almost, it's almost a thing of the past. Like, how could who survived? Who made it through the gauntlet of 15 sharp GMs to land on the waiver wire where you were able to get them and start them? Nah, like I must no. Like you're gonna have that,
Doc, how are you feeling about the 2-start thing? Is it outdated for you, and streaming in general? What are your strategies that you like to do?
So I think it's cool that, accounts like Streamer exist because he is putting his reputation on the line and saying, I'm going with this guy. And I think he was Brad Keller the first day, and Brad Keller blew up. And yesterday he picked Kikuchi, who had a great game. And that's kind of the dice you roll when you stream. So one of the things I look at is kind of their ceiling. Like, are you going to stream someone like Chad Kuehl that might go 3 or 4 innings max and probably won't be eligible for the win, but might give you good ratios? Or last year, you're going to pick up someone like Tyler Chatwood that might give you 7 shutout innings, but at the same time could give up 8 earned.
Oh, he definitely showed that. He killed a lot of teams that way.
So I think the 2-start isn't as relevant this year because we're coming off such a strange season where so many veteran pitchers are suffering arm injuries. I don't think anyone's going to go 200 innings plus pitch this year. a lot will probably not go past 180. And you're looking at yesterday, we talked about this part of the show, Jack Flaherty, Luis Castillo, Kyle Hendricks, Brandon Woodruff, Yu Darvish, they all had bad first starts. Garrett Cole and Shane Bieber were okay. Kind of their strikeouts saved them. But at the same time, Sandy Alcantara and Matthew Boyd had good starts. So once again, it's the beginning of the season. This isn't probably going to be the way that things are for the rest of it. But I think that there's less certainty outside kind of your top tier of pitching. And, what are you going to do with streaming? Do you want kind of that safe floor or the ratios, or are you going to want someone that gives you a little bit more upside, but also carries that risk?
Yeah, no, I agree. And good shout out, because SP Streamer is the best that does it out there. Definitely need to shout him out. If you are looking, he actually won one of my coworkers a league last year because I turned him on to Michael Simeone. So I would say pitching, he's definitely the guy. Hitting is definitely not. There's not people out there that I think are as big as him. I know Mike Curlin has done some hitting streaming. I know, you can correct me, isn't Josh St. Louis, who's now with SP Streamer, isn't he doing?
Josh St. Marie. Yeah,
he's doing hitting streaming this year.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some guys out there that are trying to help you. So like John mentioned also before, the resources are out there for free on Twitter, so you can use those and help you. But let's go to you next. Same questions for you. 2-star streamers, are they outdated? And for you, and what about streaming hitting versus pitching? Do you prefer one over the other?
For me, I prefer streaming hitting. It just fits my style. Like my best strength in fantasy sports is that I hustle. I don't give up. I look at all the everything I can to get the information. And I keep my confidence up throughout the season. And with hitting, you have 54 chances to change your roster in an NFBC season. You have 27 chances to change your pitchers. With hitting, you can find little incremental differences by switching your weekend lineup. You can get an extra game of at-bats from your catcher. You can get extra steals from a guy who runs and has good is up against a crappy throwing catcher that weekend. And over the course of 54 lineup changes over the courses of 162, little incremental differences over that amount add up a lot. Like I was looking at stolen bases. If you are able to get 5 more steals, let's see, if you take your steals from 120 to 125, you move up 56 spots. You move up 56 spots in last year's main event in that category. If you take yourself from 90 to 95, you move up like almost 40 spots. So really that little bit of hustle on your part, that looking for that little edge, that's worth a lot. It's worth a lot in the long run. So that's one thing. I'm just getting onto that math, and I'm really trying to find out how far I can take that math and what kind of advantages that math can give me. As far as streaming and pitching, there's a guy at Fantrax named Dave Mendelson who's doing pitching streaming this year.
I heard he's ugly.
He's
Where's the mute button?
I'll mute myself. Don't worry.
But Mike Simeone, he's great at it. He's managed to get under a 4 ERA the last 2 seasons, I believe, with his streamers, which is pretty impressive. Again, like I'm a little bit less on that because God, I'm so afraid of one guy blowing up my ratios with a terrible start and trying to have to, dig out from that later. I'd really much rather, like John was saying, get that high impact reliever who might give me like 1 or 2 innings, or that's really effective than, trying to get 10 to 12 innings from a guy who is up against the Pirates, but the Pirates put 7 on him in the second inning. That's a little bit frightening to me. But of course, if you need volume, I feel like what I'm going to do this year, just because I'm trying to figure my footing is before I start really streaming pitching, I'm going to let some chips settle first. See how I'm looking, see if I have what kind of pitching I actually already have on my roster right now. And then I'll dive in.
Yeah.
What
happened with me? This is the back end of the point I was making before about filling my roster with pitchers. And it's because of it. I don't want to stream from the pool. But if you have enough confidence in your work coming into draft season, I'm filled all my teams with pitchers in the 20th to 24th round, and a lot of those guys are looking pretty good right now. I have a bunch of Boyd, and there's a bunch of Trevor Rogers is in there. We've yet to see him. I think Joey Lucchesi is going to look really good. But guys that had assured rotation spots that also looked sharp, with the opportunity for a serious role. And it's less like streaming if you're carrying, 11 viable starters with you the whole year. You could kind of weather the storm of injuries or matchups and stuff like that. So I've always been a bit of a volume guy for pitchers. I usually I'll take one guy in the first maybe 3 rounds. Then I do a whole bunch of swimming in the mid rounds. Now that the work is out, I guess I could put out, my rotation was behind the paywall, but aside from Hendricks, they're looking really sharp. I mean, Alcantara is my top guy. He's my dark horse for the Cy Young. He's my favorite pitcher in the whole pool. I had to have him in every single league. He was my dude. That was like the my dude of my dudes. He came out and did effing work, kid. And he looks phenomenal. He works up and down and in and out. He's throwing 97 and 71. He has people guessing. He looks phenomenal. And the strikeouts look like they're there. So he could be a top kind of 20 guy. And I think that kind of happens all the time. I think it's harder to find the hitters that make that huge leap than pitchers, because a pitcher could kind of make a pitch mix change or get some velo or visit drive line or something. The projection systems don't pick up on it. When hitters make adjustments, the offensive projection systems are all over that shit. Very hard to fool at the market with hitters. Everybody's so hip to it. All the advanced stats, you could search, expected Wobacon and now a DHH from Connor and all these incredible stats. They all give you these awesome lists and you land on all the sleepers. Pitchers, I still think guys totally fall through the cracks. Another guy, man, he looks sharp as shit. It was Ryan Yarbrough everywhere. Again, guys that tangible change. He got demoted and came back with a new pitch mix. So for me, as a trader, that information before that actionable event is spoiled. It's no good. It's sour. I don't use that. So for him, it's a small sample is what we got. That's all I got. Yeah, I used a small sample because all I had. But in the small sample, and when you consider the price, which again is always, these things are always working to scale, is always going, he checked every single box. Good team, locked rotation spot. I know the division's a little tough, but the way he throws, everything's down, down, down. And him too, the strikeout with the pitch mix change kind of picked up a little bit. I don't think he's ever going to be a 30% K guy. But if he's going to be a 23% K guy from the 25th round or whatever, you hit gold or 18th, 19th round or whatever. So I have a ton of guys already that were marked as boring that now seem pretty damn exciting. And a lot of people wish, they had them. My next guy, he didn't go yet, is Eflin. Wait till you see Zach Eflin's going to be a monster this year. Another monster. You're going to see it. The pitch, demotion, and he got demoted for Jason Vargas.
I'm tired of buying into Zach Eflin.
No, this is it. Now. This is the one. This is it.
I quit the drug known as Zach Eflin.
No, this is it. Wait, he was good last year. Did you have him last year? He was good for us.
You
didn't have to pay for him. He's good.
I feel like I streamed him on the starts where he was just
okay.
Yeah, I've been
on him.
He's so stressful to watch because he'll have an 0-2 count and then he'll get it to 3-2 and then the batter will foul one off and he'll walk and he'll be like, dude, why didn't you just throw one more strike?
He did the same exact thing. Him and Yarbrough, the narrative arc, I don't know, the story arc, whatever you want to call it, the plot summary kind of took the same thing. They both were struggling. They both got demoted for veterans. They both came back. I think they both ditched the four-seamer for the cutter, in fact. And then there you go. When you take your most used pitch and make it your 5th most used pitch and take a better pitch. And again, in the articles, I kind of been getting into this after I spoke to Barton Smith, who's he's a professor of smartness at Utah State. And he's been into the seam shifted wake and ball movement and stuff. Again, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I bring in smart people, try to ask them good questions. And
good episode on your pod. I
so far of my skis, I have no idea what I'm doing. But again, there's trying to be valuable and not being afraid to make mistakes, But,
well, actually, that ties in really well. It's like you're like the host in a sense because you knew the perfect transition to the last one, which was buying in on if someone's actually a breakout or if it's just a hot streak. And it sounds like for pitching, one of the things that really sells you on is the pitch mix changes. And you see it over the offseason spring training. And then when you see them go out in their start, they look like a totally different pitcher. What about for his? Is it batting stance changes? Is it like in Vlad's case that he just lost weight? So you're like, all right, he comes out and he, has a hit and 2 walks in his first plate appearance, looks more athletic. Like, what are the things that you do to try to spot breakouts from both hitters and pitchers?
Did I lose you?
Yeah, you're back now.
All right, we're good. Okay. I think I might be shamelessly self-promoting again because that went to another episode that I did. But it's funny. It's not like I did these episodes so I could talk about episodes I did. I did them because these are things I had questions about that I don't know the answers to. I'm not afraid or shy at all. And I went and talked to the experts. And the expert on statistical stabilization is Russell Carlton. He's been doing this for, what's the better part of 2 decades working on this specifically. So I brought him on a show and let him show off how smart he was. And one of the things we learn is disciplinary statistics have the most narrow stabilization windows. So that's a good place to start looking. So it's not so much that I chase the change. I have always been one to look for validation or confirmation. I give you a good trading analogy. These things, again, oftentimes interweave. You could like Disney stock at $100, right? Nice round things we can remember. You like Disney at $100, your chart even says so, you're in at 100. But something crazy happens on a Thursday and prices just sink. As we know, again, markets don't usually react. Markets generally overreact. And when value is had on the pendulum return to fairness, the main point of a market, its main primary function is price determination, right? So people getting nervous of their not knowing where the bottom is, everyone sells. And then when they realize, okay, it stopped raining, we can go outside, then it kind of bounces back. So we're getting into, what were we talking? Breakouts and continuations, right?
No, I like this stock talk instead.
I got lost in the analogy. Of course, I was bound to have this happen. Once right. Disney at 100. So something crazy happens. Disney that's what I was getting at. I got back on track. The bowl is spinning. We're back. The price flies through 100. Your phone is triggered, right? You're told it's 100. By the time you open the phone, you're out of the trade because as a responsible trader, you told yourself at a 5% loss, you'd be out. But the market overreacted through that. So I don't buy the $100. I pay attention at $100. And I wait for the move up. And you could do the same thing in baseball. So there's confirmation and validation. Don't wait for just the price. Don't react to the price because reacting is what we want to avoid. We want to be proactive. So the reaction to the price is the attentive nature. The attention paid is the reaction, which doesn't physically cost us anything. Back to Disney. That day, 100 crashes to 95 down to 90. Once we start to see the market pick itself up. Now you get in, and first of all, never believe anybody that says they bought the bottom dollar. Okay. So in this example, even in my imaginary example, I didn't peg the bottom. So it was 100. We went down to 90. By the time I saw momentum at 93, I'm in, and I saved 9% on my initial projected price target. So we can do the same thing with baseball. Let something trigger your attention, and then look for the reaction. Vlad lost weight. That could be great. It doesn't necessarily portend production. Some people will chase the weight loss. What if the weight loss alters the swing mechanics and the professional that he is takes him 65 days to do that? Mm-hmm. In that 65-day span, we could see 2 stabilization periods. The poor discipline from the new, and then it kind of bounce back up. And that's what we're looking for, that bounce. Because the trading adage, again, they call it trying to catch a falling knife. You can't catch a falling knife. You end up bloodied and bruised. You got to wait for it to hit the floor, and then you can go after it when you pick it up safely and grab it by the handle. So it's the same idea. Vlad loses weight. Somebody changes mechanics. The Twins as an organization are going to start lifting more. You can't just chase that. Let's see it. Now, maybe that'd be something in spring I want to start seeing. Are they starting to lift the ball? They lift the ball. Now maybe this is something we're going to go after and buy. So for me, again, never in a vacuum. Always process, triggering down the chain, and it sucks. I wish it was a little more easier, and like more fun. Like, it's never any fun to be like, hey everybody, we're gonna hurry up and wait. Sit down. What's my advice? My advice is do nothing. But generally that's what it is take a breath, let the market react, weigh the market reaction into your own response, your calculus, and then make the proper response. Because generally, the market is wrong at first. The knee-jerk reaction is called that for a reason. They don't call it the quick wit reaction. It's not the sharp intuition reaction. It's not. It's the knee-jerk reaction made by the fools. And I'm going to drop one famous quote, and it's George Carlin. Think about how stupid the average person is, and then realize that half the people are stupider than that.
What a quote.
I love that.
So I'm kind of interested then to build off of that. So your guy was Sandy Alcantara, right?
Yep.
So let's say, I don't remember if there might have been something specifically that came out about him sometime during this off season, not to the extent of like a Vlad or to other guys, but if he was your guy, but then something like that makes his draft price shoot up, and you're like, he's my guy, I still want to make sure you get him. Does that make you where you're still trying to overdraft to get him? Or when something happens like that, where people are swayed one certain way, they're very reactive, but it's in a way that you don't want them to be. What do you do in those situations?
Yeah, trying again. This is when it's the toughest, when you're in a live market, right? So this is like a live market, which I always tell people before you buy stocks, you could chart at nighttime when it's closed and everything's nice and settled. So it's kind of the same idea, crap. I just banged my knee on my chair and I lost my train of thought. That's true. I got 2 strikes on me, but this one, oh my God. I found the picture. I feel like I found a picture of my leg. I'm too old and fat. Is there a funny bone in your knee? I'm like, Don, do you see I'm crying? I'm dying right now.
Oh man, that's.
I've been Charlie.
Hold on. Get me back on the rails. I'm good. Get me back on the rail.
Oh, we're talking about. Are you good?
Yeah, get me back on the rails.
So we're talking about Sandy Alcantara.
Oh, right. Alcantara, what did it for me? Oh, my gosh. That was so weird. I fidget a lot, so I've been told by video producers I try and, like, lock my legs into my desk because I'm, like, generally a buoy, Anyway, so Alcantara, the thing that led me to him, believe it or not, was distance. And I had been referring to these weird seasons, 2020 and 2021, flattening the IP curve. So my favorite way to defeat a flattened IP curve, meaning lowered expectations for top-end innings pitched, would be to get players that excelled on a micro and a macro basis. I guess macro would be total innings pitched. Micro would be innings pitched per start. And if you start running those, which are not readily available, I did a piece for The Athletic. I mentioned it to Nando, who's like, Nando DeFino is like the best guy you ever want to meet. And if you mention something, he's like, dude, you got to run with that. He's just like, dude, go. And you're like, well, what do you think? He's like, dude, no, you just go do it. Go do it the way that you see fit. And I kind of did a bit of a study on it. And man, it kind of makes sense too. Pitchers that are very good at innings per start tend to be really good overall because you have to be good to stay in the game, right? I mean, that's part of it, right? In innings. And in fact, more so to accomplish innings, you need the efficiency of outs. So Alcantara checked a lot of boxes it was distance for him at first. And then kind of looking deeper in, wow, if he does this and does this, because he always had the pitch mix going. But also another thing I want to mention to Dave, because Dave was talking about actual measures, and one of them is fastball velocity. So we're talking resources. Listen, let's share it all, baby. Let's open up the curtain. It's opening day, right? Brooks Brothers is fantastic with that. It speaks to me because it's charts, right? But I like them because you could visualize it. What better way to visualize fastball velocity than, on a chart? That's much better to me than a list. But you could kind of see the moves, and you start pairing these things together, again, with the all-important price. And then even more so, the last one for me, guys, pitching, I've become almost an organizational snob, like a brand whore, if you will, where, listen, I've never paid more than $3 for a white or black t-shirt in my life, but this one might be a little bit different. This might be a different time. You got to look at the label. And if it says Cleveland or it says, Miami, there are certain teams that are grabbing young pitchers. Tampa Bay, of course, also Tampa is, of course. they're getting the most out of these guys. Mm-hmm. And they happen to be the most analytically driven. Listen, I don't believe in conspiracies, but I don't believe in coincidences either. You know, the old saying, like, there comes a point where if you're trying to coin flip on fan graphs, the answer might just be on the guy's jersey, right? The answer might just be right here. You know, so part of it was that Miami is a pitching factory. Hello, Zach Gallen. You know, not interested. Whatever. We're gonna let Zach Gallen go. Guy's a frontline starter, and because they had a plan, like they had guys to back it up, and they knew that. And then you see Eliezer Hernandez. Oh, that guy's awesome. 13 Ks per nine. Oh, they have this guy Trevor Rogers. He just happens to be phenomenal. You know what? We're gonna make him the number 3 starter. We get to take our prize possession 6 though and put him in the alternate site. He didn't get demoted. They're buying time right now. The Marlins are. I mean, I'm a Marlin apologist. I love pitching. I think pitching wins baseball games. I think pitching wins fantasy baseball championships. So pitching that's cheap is my favorite thing on the board. And for me, it was all the Marlins. So they're kind of tied in all 5,000 things I talked about. How I swim in the middle pool, though. But I have all those Marlins. I have all the Pablo. He's going way too late. I have all the Sandy. He's going way too late. You know, why? Because you're getting innings. They had fastball velocity upticks. They had positive pitch change mixes, and they're in good contextual situations. And it's like, okay, this was easy for me. Check, boom. You know, so there's pretty much all the process that I can have going forward. And sorry, Eric, it wasn't like I saw one thing. It's right there. At this point, guys, any question you ask and the answer's too long. Now, from this point on, it's your fault.
Well, I was gonna say people would rather hear that talking about all those different things that you said than Cheesecake and Doc. They're very smart individuals, but we brought you on for a reason, and that's that to drop that type of knowledge. So you never have to apologize for that. Especially it also cuts off Doc a little bit, so it makes it a better pod.
More of them and less. It's you. The answer is generally less of me. I'm good in small doses, small doses, but like very small. I think we're getting to the overdose limit. I'm gonna get that shock mute out button.
I listened to 4 hours of you on Rotosaurus's pod. I got no problem with a big dose of MLB movie average.
Man, those guys too. You guys were shouting out a couple great guys. I think my shout outs for High Stake and for talking about like underfollowed, man, what Dave and Jake kind of do, and they're so funny. It's really unfortunate Dave has this rap on Twitter for being like a heel. And it's totally not true. He is one of the sweet. I hope he doesn't get mad. He's a sweetheart. He is a really good guy. No, for real. He's a really good guy. He's a solid dude. Really, he's my friend. You know, he's my friend now. And it started because I DM'd him and I was like, "Ha, you're a bad guy too." And I started saying that him and Jake were demolition. I overuse Golden Age wrestling terms.
Nice.
That's like one of my things. Yeah, I grew up addicted to like Hulk Hogan era wrestling. So that stuff has stuck to me, and everything to me is a wrestling analogy. But they were, which weird demolition side note, those outfits were just wild. I can't believe my parents let me watch that.
I'm learning so many great things about you that I didn't know before. This is opening up a whole new world to me now. Dave is a great guy, though. Like I will admit, when I first got on Twitter, that we had a couple exchanges that were like nothing malicious. We didn't get along at first, but really quickly. I mean, he's a really smart dude, and he's gotten to be one of the nicest guys I've gotten to know on Twitter. And I respect his work and Jake's work, all the stuff they do over there. They're incredible. And if you're doing any type of high stakes, you gotta listen to their pod.
Yeah.
But let's transition. If the show hasn't been fun enough already, let's transition to the fun part of the show. And let's start off with the question of the week. Oh, yeah.
I'm dying.
We lost. John, are you okay?
That is phenomenal, man. We need like Wink Martindale. I wish I had my hair up. I get the long microphone on the skinny stick. And it's like, wow, that was so great, man. You guys are all, I tell you, I just love the branding. I love the style. You guys bring it, man. You make me laugh. That's important. I think that's what I left out in the beginning. There isn't enough laughing in this. And it's funny because I'm like a total goofball, but my work is very serious. right? And you guys are kind of the same. So
Yeah.
we're simpatico. We're simpatico with that. And that music really just says it all. Plus,
Like
you
it's
know,
just right
that is just goofball times 10. And that's what it should be, man. Listen, it is a game at the end of the day, right? It should be fun. And I find also we want to kill all the adages, man. If you stare at the small picture for too long, you really miss the big one. You know, you stare at the 1 minute candle, you end up missing the month-long chart, and you miss the big move. You know, so I love that, man. You guys are so relatable. Let's go.
Oh, I love it. I mean, again, you fit right in with us. This is perfect.
I'm dying laughing. I'm dying.
So our question of the week is sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. Triple Play Fantasy is now official affiliate to Monkey Knife Fight, fastest growing sports betting site in the United States. Make sure you use promo code Triple Play and get up to $50 of your deposit matched when you become a new user if you use that code. Remember, if you're looking to win some cash, make sure you follow Triple Play's Monkey Knife Fight shows coming soon to give you 10 to 15-minute shows with locks to help you win big. All right, so question of the week. John, I know I sent you something in an email, but we gave you an old Audible. And
all right, I love that. No, I'm on the fly. Let's do it.
So our question is, since opening day was obviously just 2 days ago, what is your favorite opening day memory?
Wait, is this of all time or this opening day just now?
Of all time.
Wow, my favorite opening day of all time. Wow, it's funny. Man, it's kind of mushy, you know? It's kind of mushy. It's
I'm all for it. Let's do it.
I'm getting like emotional already. I have deeply ingrained baseball like history in my family, right? So you know, it didn't just start with me. It wasn't my dad. And like my dad's a Stratomatic guy, like even still. So he was playing Stratomatic in like the 70s. And that spurned from his parents and aunt and uncle used to watch, you know, the Dodgers and the Giants and the Yankees. And, you know, my family is very much from Brooklyn. They were always here. And their favorite story always was that you could go from the house to the store and hear the entire game without missing a pitch because everybody was outside with the radio, you know, listening. So I don't go back that far. But that was from my Aunt Josephine, who, you know, she God rest her soul, rest in peace. But I'm telling you, she's smiling right now because I did something for the Mets. She's a tremendous Mets fan. And I did something for the Mets a couple weeks ago. And just lately, she's been coming up and I love it. So my favorite opening day was kind of as an adult. She was older in age, and my family kind of asked me to kind of go live with her, and it was perfect because I was probably in my 20s and could use my own space. There was an apartment upstairs, so it kind of looked perfect. It was perfect, right? I could look out for her, and you know, I kind of had an adult to make sure I didn't die, I guess. Although at the time, I don't know how I avoided that, but anyway. And she was always a huge fan, and I happened. At the you know, I was always watching baseball, but when you're that age, it's easy to forget when opening day is. You know what I mean? You're running around, you're hustling, there's girls, and you know, whatever's going on. Plus, it's like the middle of the week and stuff. You know, I was working and everything, and it had come up opening day, and she was telling me an opening day story, and I said, you know what, Gene, let's. I'm going to take the day tomorrow, and very weird because you wouldn't think a 24-year-old's opening day story was hanging out with an 85-year-old woman. And like eating like, oh, dude, so stereotypically Italian, like plastic on the couch and like a bowl of hard candies that aren't individually wrapped and stuck together. Like straight up, like gold furniture, like really like all that stuff. And I remember it. And just sitting the entire day and watching baseball and listening to stories. Again, I went back my father-in-law, I'm in love that because I have the history in my blood, to hear the old stories. So my opening day wasn't even so much mine, nor can I tell you what happened in the games that were being played, but I never would forget the day for what it meant to me, and hearing her stories like that. Like, so like, that's when I heard, that's when you hear those stories about, man, what it meant. And she would tell me about how I actually had a schism in my family. Like it wasn't real. Like people started to hate each other, but it became like a palpable, like you knew you were going to get an earful. This is after the Dodgers left. The Dodger Ligazes were stuck because there was no team. And you couldn't root for the Yankees, right? You couldn't do that. You can't do that. Let's say we're talking even 58. I think 58, the Giants were gone. So the people that didn't want to root for the Giants, now they were gone. And so we had the people in my family that said, baseball is baseball. We're going to root for the one team that stayed. That's it. Even though we hated the Yankees, they didn't abandon us. We're getting on board with the Yankees. And then we had the other ones that wouldn't do it and then jumped on the Mets board in 62. So I really always had this kind of very fun, right? But a very competitive thing with baseball. But that's where the passion's from. Like when I think about it, you're supposed to fight over it. You know what I mean? Not like, you know what I mean? Not real fight, but we're supposed to be fighting about it. That's like, it's a fun thing because I have found when you get your emotions out about the stupid stuff, when life really comes at you, yo, man, I'm easy peasy lemon squeezy, kid. You can't unfurl me because I just lost my shit over a pancake that was the shape of Florida. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know, squirrel, you know, like because I let it loose, man. The valve, you know, if life is a pressure valve, I let the valve swing. So it doesn't build up for me. I don't get jacked up. And that bleeds into even a lot of the other decisions we were talking about before. You know, everything's preset for me. You know, I know I'm emotional, so I know I have to preset. But yeah, my opening day is family, man. It's family. It's the sounds. It's not even at the ballpark. It's like on the couch, like being a fat, lazy kind of piece of crap, and just enjoying familia and really having a great time, man. I'm audible like right at you touch me, dude. I'm like,
you may make me cry right now. Go to Doc. Doc, what are you gonna say?
So mine is just it's almost on the complete opposite end, and you know, I'm a little bit younger, so I don't have too many opening days, especially where I've been super into baseball. But I think this is kind of interesting. In 2010, Jason Hayward homered in his first at-bat off Carlos Zambrano, and he hit the ball 475 feet, and he was a really highly touted prospect. And I remember watching baseball tonight that evening, and they're replaying that. They're talking about how great he's going to be. And Tim Kirkchen says, this is going to be one of those moments where you tell your kids, you remember where you were when Jason Hayward hit his first home run. And it's interesting because Jason Hayward has had a good career. He obviously had a big contract, but he wasn't what everybody hyped him up to be. And that's just kind of the realization of baseball of you can be drafted number one like Luke Hochevar. You can be hyped up like Jason Hayward, and that has no guarantees. And that's just kind of the beauty of the sport is obviously not, you know, when they perform, but there are people that are under the radar that have better careers than you could ever imagine. And it just kind of shows that it's always evolving. It's always hard work. And I just kind of, you know, Jason Hayward's had a great career, but I just think it was kind of interesting that it didn't pan out the way we expected. That's
a life lesson, man. You got a lot of those.
Exactly.
I still like John's answer better. We're
not competing. We're not competing. You made the big guy cry, you know?
Yeah, no, his is better than mine.
I mean, that one touched my heart generally. Like, luckily, my fiance is in the other room and she can't see me cry. So
no, they love that, man. Get in there. And that's the sweetest
thing. Cheesecake, what's your memory?
Well, I've actually been able to use this for a question of the week before, but I was 12 or 13 years old. I mean, I grew up kid sitting in front of a baseball encyclopedia, flipping through the pages just to find, you know, just to see if there was a great season that I had never heard of before, stuff like that. And I'd go to family functions, and I had two uncles who were huge baseball fans growing up in the Chicago area. One was a big White Sox fan, one was a big Cubs fan. And so we'd be at family functions, and they would humor me and my brother because all we wanted to do was talk about baseball the entire time. And so we'd sit there watching sports, and, you know, I'd be like, oh, I heard about this Chuck Klein season from 1930. And they'd be like, oh, yeah. Because they're baseball nerds just like I am. So I was 12 or 13, and my Uncle Lee, a couple days before, said, hey, we got some extra tickets to the Cubs opening day game. And, you know, growing up in Chicago, growing up with a single mom, Cubs tickets were not easy to come by. And we got to take the day off of school to go downtown and see the Cubs game. And that was Tuffy Rhodes hit 3 home runs on opening day that year. And we had these amazing seats where we were right like 50 feet behind the Cubs dugout. And to see, you know, the crowd just erupt on these home runs, especially the third one, it's a memory that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. You know, my Uncle Lee has passed since then. He was a great guy, always doing things like that for me. That's a great memory for me from opening day.
That's an incredible one. I mean, all the ones you guys said are just top notch. I really think baseball is a sport unlike any, and this is speaking from a guy that does a football show as well, and we're very much in basketball. It's a 3-sport program, but baseball, there is nothing like opening day. It's its own separate thing away from everything else. So I mean, we're having crying, we're having memories sharing. I mean,
We cried. We laughed, we cried.
That's what it is. That's what baseball is. So I'm glad you guys shared those memories, and all of them were great. Let's transition now to the last part of the show, and that's going to be our game of the week. Oh yeah. I had to give you the game show theme again. Just
That's fantastic. I love it. Oh man, I need sound effects. That's what I just learned.
there's a free soundboard I'll use. I'll make sure I link it to you.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But okay, so the game of the week. So we do like a lot of different games on this show. Art is really good. He has a lot of the games using data. Doc does very simple-minded games.
Hey.
And and I like to do very wild card type of games.
David likes to change the rules, so that's just a little heads up.
So
Okay.
today we try not to ever repeat any game we ever play. So I went to the depths here. I watched some ESPN, and I came up with the fantasy baseball spelling bee. So are you just like on ESPN? We're going to be a bunch of older men spelling out baseball names.
I love it. Let's do it.
So you each have 5 words. Each round is going to be harder than the previous round.
Mike Yastrzemski is going to be on this list.
If you get it wrong, the person that goes behind you has a chance to steal. If that person can't get it, then obviously the last person has a chance to get the points. All right. So this is going to be a doozy. I'll be just to see how you guys are with your names here. I tried to pick some of the hardest ones I could find and mix with some ones to give you some confidence here. But whoever has the most points after 5 words wins. All right.
All right. Let's do it.
All right.
I read Fangraphs enough. This should be easy, right?
All right. So the order we're going to go is Eric, John, Art. So again, remember, whoever gets it wrong, the person that's going next has the first chance to steal it. All right.
All right.
So you got to keep track of your own score because I'm not your mom. All right.
Okay.
So round 1's worth 1 point. Round 2's 2 points. 3, 4, 5. So all right. So let's get started. Round 1, word 1 for you, Doc. Randy Dobnak. You only need to spell the last name.
Can I get the origin?
How much does that mean?
Can you use it in a sentence, please?
You
Randy
better spell.
Dobnak got lit up today.
You better spell Randy Dobnak right, or you won't get a point.
Dobnak.
Yeah, that's right.
That is correct. Randy Dobnak for 1 point. Doc on the board. All right, John.
All right.
Your
Yes.
player is Mike Soroka.
Soroka.
That is correct.
Yeah.
With confidence, so I love it. All right, Cheesecake. Your player, Eddie Rosario.
These are all easy.
That's the round
R-O-
one.
What's a 1 point? 1 pointer. He's getting 1 point.
ROSARIO.
All right, everybody with their confidence now. You got 1 point. Now
Right.
we can step it up a notch. Doc, your player, Heimer Candelario.
Candelario.
Do it one more time for me, just to make sure I did it.
Candelario.
That is incorrect. Already getting one wrong. John, you have a chance to
Yeah.
steal.
Yeah, no I. Candelario.
That is correct, John.
That's what I was.
That's why I
torn
wanted to
whether
make
it was gonna
sure
be.
if that I was like, does he know he put that I? I gave you the chance to correct it. John has 3, but John, we're going right back to you.
All right.
Dallas Keuchel.
Oh God.
Keuchel.
That is correct. I thought I might trick you. Keuchel's.
I spent a lot of time on Fangraphs, man.
John with a quick 5. All right, Art, yours is James Karinchak.
KARINCHAK.
That is correct. All right, so after 2 rounds,
Those two, but not the first. Ugh.
so Doc with 1, John has 5, Cheesecake with 3. All right, Doc, you ready for your third word?
Yeah.
Randy Arozarena.
Show us your hands.
He's struggling.
No. My thing muted out. Arozarena.
You are correct. Nice job. Randy Arozarena. All right, Doc, that was a 3-pointer.
I'm back in the game, baby.
All right, John, your word, your player, Nick Margevicius.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah. Yes.
Margevicius.
Man, that was clean. That is perfect. A nice 3
that was
quarter.
good.
Cheesecake, I gave you this one. You should know it. Give me Jeff Samardzija.
Samardzija. Samardzija.
That's good.
That was really good. All
I
right.
didn't even keep up. That was really good. I was like trying to, and that was good.
I knew that. I was hoping you were going to get it wrong.
I don't know if I knew that one.
Oh, man. All right. Well, so both Cheesecake and John both are perfect. Doc's still in there if he can get these next ones right.
Let's go.
All right, Doc. Round 4. 4 points each. Your word, your player, JB Bukauskas.
Oh, man. I'm definitely taking an L on this. Can you say it one more time?
JB Bukauskas, excuse me. Cousins of one of my good friends.
He's from Bukauskas, New Jersey. Bad joke.
Bukauskas.
That is the worst spelling so far.
Yeah, no. I knew I was taking an L on this one.
All right,
I was.
John, you have a chance to steal. Do you know?
No, I really don't. No, I really don't. Oh boy, geez, name. I don't even know. Bukauskas. I don't know.
That is incorrect.
Yeah, because no, whatever. I don't know. I don't even know who that is. Gosh, good thing I didn't even.
Bukauskus. Bukauskas.
Cheesecake, you were so close. It's KAS.
Oh, can't we give that to him?
No,
that was close. I admit that was the only reason I put him on this is because he's cousins with one of my good friends, but he actually might be an Arizona closer by the end of the season, judging from spring training. But no,
thanks for giving me the hardest one, David.
All right, well, John, yours is Anthony DiSclafani.
Oh my gosh! Of course, you're giving me easier ones.
You painted that one for me. He gave me a softball, right?
Don't worry, the last one it makes up for it.
No, okay, good, yeah. So DiSclafani is DESCLAFANI, right? SCLAFANI, yeah.
Correct. That was a good one. 4 points for you.
Oh, not surprised.
Cheesecake, your word is Mike Fultonevich.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yes.
I hope I get this one.
TYNEWICZ.
You have done your Mike Fultonevich research because that is correct.
That's right. Oh, right.
Oh, man. David,
you have a winner. I don't care what the score says. We have a winner.
David, why are you giving me the tough ones? I feel like this was clear collusion.
No, it wasn't.
You gave me the one that everybody got wrong.
I mean,
DiSclafani is like a 2-pointer.
I gave him. If you want to switch Margevicius and DiSclafani, I feel like that was a good 3 and 4.
Yeah, probably. That was a fair. It was a good one.
Yeah. All right, so last ones. These ones are very tough. Don't worry, I balanced this out for John. He's got the toughest of all 5 of all 5 of the names here. So, Doc, your first one is Yoshitomo Tsugo.
Oh,
for the Rays.
Japanese name.
TSITUGIO.
Incorrect.
No, I think it's TSOTUGO.
That is incorrect.
Oh,
Cheesecake.
TSUGO.
That is correct.
Okay.
Oh, Oh, good job. Nice
job.
Sugo. Okay, cool.
So I'm gonna
Faces, and Art is good at spelling last names.
All right, John, you ready for your last one?
I guess, man, Art is really good at this. That was damn impressive, man.
I'm very impressed. Your word is Asher Wojnarowski.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah, they have no chance. I know it's WOJ. Oh man, I have no idea. Oh my goodness. And I don't do myself any favors because whenever he comes up on my podcast, I have to make a joke of it. And now I'm paying. It's like, oh my, Wojnarowski or whatever. And I'm screwed. It's like, gosh, it's so Polish. It's like WOJICKI. I'm over. Forget it.
You had the beginning. You were close.
I know. Yeah. You know what's funny? I did a tweet about him, and his entire family liked it on Twitter. That's been like a new thing. Twitter players getting involved on Twitter and like their family. So I'll get like Ashley Wojnarowski liked your tweet, and I'm like, I wonder who that is. It's, like apparently they're like they must be putting his name into the search term and just seeing like what. I hope nobody wrote anything bad about him today. But yeah, I don't know. He's
being spelled on Triple Play Fantasy today.
I mean, if Art does this, we're got to donate something to charity or something.
Okay.
The Savali family comments a lot on us, so we love them.
Yeah. I had Nick on the show. He is a great dude, man. Nick's a great dude. Smart guy.
Savali.
You do. Yeah. We do here.
Smart guy, man.
Cheesecake. What's your guess on Wojnarowski?
Okay, so being from Chicago, I should know Polish names. Wojciechowski.
That is correct.
Oh, I knew it as it was coming out. Almost like, when I don't really guess, but I do know the feeling of when the shot leaves your hand like that. Oh, that's coming in. As soon as he WOGC, I was like, oh, that's the one. Like, that's it. I've tried that before. Dude, you are the undisputed heavyweight champion.
You got to put that in your for fun. This was your last one, Kyle Ishioka.
Oh wait, the catcher for the Yankees?
Yeah,
Higashioka.
I'm sorry, Higashioka.
Higashioka. Higashioka.
Yeah, you sweep the competition. That's the way. That's the way to walk out.
I'm yours.
I hope that gets girls. That should get girls.
Time and place.
At the spelling bees.
I'm yours.
Holy cow!
At the spelling bees.
Yeah, you
want to get those smart girls? Yeah.
No, you know what's funny is I actually think Cheesecake that the girls were watching, if I'm not mistaken. If I can, where is it? Where is it? Hold on. I would have been great if I had the thing up for you. Here we go.
The girls want their cheesecake. LC.
Oh man, well, Cheesecake, that is the way to end it. But
cheesecake,
little cheesecake, yeah.
Wait, what? Lemon cheesecake?
Little cheesecake.
Oh, little cheesecake.
Yeah.
Is that like a rapper? You have a rap? Is it a rapper name? Do I have to ask now?
It was a Twitter thing that David picked up on. Lil plus the last thing you ate is your rap name, and David thought it was hilarious. So I've been Lil Cheesecake on this show for a year now.
Okay, Lil. Oh, and it's Lil. Excuse me, Lil Cheesecake.
Lil Cheesecake.
That's how everybody knows it.
Yeah, I don't want to use any extra T's that I don't have to.
You're Derek Von Riper's favorite nickname in the industry. So there you go.
That's another great dude, man. Derek is another great guy.
We loved having him on our. He's
a great dude. A lot of fun, super nice guy. He's like too nice. He carves out personal time for people. Derek is such a good dude. I actually regret, and I have a piece of advice that no one asked me for, and it's if you do happen to be somebody that kind of wants to get into this stuff, be more like these guys and tap all your networking. I know I seem really good at it. I've been better of it as of late because I had to make a conscious effort. And it came from probably my first year. I don't know. I just, I embraced the lone wolf thing, which is okay when you're working. But there is a communal nature to it. And if you, even as a selfish bastard, you want to network people that can amplify you. And I wasn't doing that, And I was at the Athletic and didn't really talk to Eno Saris or talk to Derek Van Riper. And you're like, what a crime. It's a crime. To be that close, to even be honored enough to call them a colleague, let's say, and not really take advantage of it. You know what I mean? So Yeah, I kind of, that was a mistake of mine. That's why now I've really been trying to, almost the second I have an idea, if I want to go right to the person that is into it. It's funny you mentioned Savale. I was thinking about injuries at the time. He's a DPT and said, let's go get it. 5 minutes later, we were hooked up and on the show. So, yeah, you got to network, got to make it happen, right? No one's going to give it to you.
And if you're networking, John's one of the best guys to have on your show. And with that being said, we want to appreciate you for coming on tonight because this is an absolute blast for us.
Tonight? I didn't realize.
I'm so used to saying tonight because we always do Thursday nights.
It's tonight coming on.
That's right. Yeah, it's tonight somewhere.
That's right.
Wherever you're watching tonight, this afternoon, whatever it is, John, we really appreciate you coming on the show.
Oh my God, I don't want to leave. I'm having such a good time. I consider you guys friends now. I really do. Yeah, I wasn't kidding. You know, I'm a fan, and we kind of hooked up with the TGFBI thing, and then the live stream thing. And there's certain people that I know I really like, and I'm, you know, if I could bother you off air, you're gonna help me straighten up a little bit. I'm down 22 pounds. I'm gonna get back into. I was never like a skinny mini. Don't get me wrong. I'm never gonna be like a underwear model. But I was always more like the brolic kind of stocky. I used to be a big commercial electrician, and then kind of I used to do, you know, just training and fighting and stuff, gym work. And then I got hurt really bad, which has brought me here. You know, what brought me in the industry. But now that I've been getting better and able to kind of do some stuff, I'm trying to shape up, and I know you're good for that. So I'll probably be taking you up on your offer to help me. You know, because I gotta get it right, man. Right? You got to be there. I want to be there for those kids. I want to be around for a long time. I want to be breaking down opening day, you know, 2062, and not gone before my time. So, no, I appreciate all the stuff you guys do. You guys are like, damn, I didn't even realize all the untapped shit that was going on here, man. I had a ton of fun. You guys are really fun as hell. I can tell you guys all really like each other and respect each other, and like the work comes through, and the formula here is phenomenal. Eric, I'm going to be following you a little bit more. You're a funny bastard too. There's people that there's certain things about people that I just absolutely love, and I don't know. You're the dry, like there's the dry wit, and then like you guys just have this really kind of. It's very like sitcom-esque almost. It feels
that's those Thanksgiving dinners over the years. That's what happens when you're family and then you decide to make a podcast.
Is that wait? Are we real family? You guys are like,
we're all family. Yeah,
that's not true. Is that true?
Yeah.
Me and Eric are brothers.
Shit.
Yeah,
that's funny. Wait. You two are brothers.
We are. And then Cheesecake.
Oh, I got the head shape a little bit. Like, yeah, you got that right. You both have like a narrow kind of skinny. If I get the head shape. Wait, and how was art related? You guys don't look at all. How's art related?
I married their cousin.
That's the best way to get into a good family.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. That's good advice. That's good advice, people. That's good advice. No, that's really great. You know what's funny? I almost wish I would have said that. I was on the verge of it. That you get that kind. No, but you get that kind of man, the bond that resonates. You know what I mean? Like that was what I was trying to describe, and you guys are doing it well. Because just because you're family doesn't mean you're going to tie together like that. I got some family that suck. They suck. I've got some family that sucks, man. Let me tell you. No, you guys are awesome. I'm afraid I don't want to stop. You're going to turn off the camera, and we have to stop being friends then. No, you are great. Let me just do the thing that I always forget to do, which is
I was going to let you. I
never stop working, and I never plug any of it. I'm always just like, I never stop. So just follow me, and I'll take you somewhere. No, I'm. Well, I guess the draft kits are all in the rear view, and that's what it is. So now. People are doing FTN Fantasy. It's as cheap as it gets. I think it's like $20 for the whole season. If you sign up for the fantasy football package, you get the baseball for free. And then the DFS stuff is out. People are doing the optimizer thing. That's awesome. And then I'm working the FTN bets thing. I love betting on baseball. I kind of, it's part of the amalgamation of businesses that kind of keep my family afloat. And I usually tell a lot of people there is money to be made in it. You don't need a lot to get started necessarily, and if you put in a lot of time into baseball in the first place, this is an avenue to monetize it a little bit. I'm just saying, I know it can be scary and intimidating and stuff like that, but almost like, man, it was like me. I started, you start with a hobby, and then before you know it, you keep your husband or your wife off your back. The best way to do it is to bring in cash with the stuff that you enjoy doing, and then maybe if you get lucky like me, it becomes an actual kind of career path for you. So yeah, I'm at FTN Fantasy and FTN Bets, and then I'm on Twitter at MLB Moving Averages, and I'm on Corked Stats. Right now, it's hot and heavy, man. I'm bringing that smoke. We'll see how long I can do it. That show is like, the reviews are like they're they're so genuine that they almost borderline on like not being a compliment, but I don't care because I wear it on my sleeve. That's like, your show is crack cocaine. And I'm like, oh, all right, good, I guess. like, man, this show is, like this, you're borderline and unhinged. Okay, I guess that's cool. Like, that's cool. But yeah, I bring that energy every single, right? You can't fake it, man. And, I don't know if you guys have to go as a team. We have to do the mashup, and I have to get you on me at the home field advantage where I could do a little less. I could do a little less talking. I'll be the 1/4 instead of the 3/4, and that'll be a lot of fun because I like now that I hear the connections and stuff. I have a lot of questions, and I'm looking forward to what you guys got coming in the future. We're gonna have a hell of a lot of fun, man. Have me back. Bring me back.
Be a blast.
Awesome.
You are.
No, it's all you got it. You guys got it. The door is wide open. I was not kidding. I like to put the people I like forward and put the work that I use forward. And you guys are it right now. You're like a part of. I'm telling you, part of this. Like, there's a new wave of fun analysts. I've said it. I talk about baseball as if it were football. Right. Generally, the only time you hear that kind of hooting and hollering and yipping and yamming is football. And I think we can bring that. And I'm saying we, because I can't do it alone. You guys are part of it. We're bringing that smoke. We're bringing that fire to baseball. That's kind of the reviews I get. People are like, yo, man, you make that shit fun. And it should be, right? So
I love it. I love it. And yes. John is now a friend of the show. He is now a friend of the show, so you definitely will be expecting to hear him back on these airwaves sometime soon for sure. Next week, make sure you guys tune in next week. We're going to be joined by Jeff Erickson. We'll be talking about some overreactions. So we touched on it this show. We'll give you the full entree next episode. I don't even know if I said that right. But anyway, till then, baseball's back. Enjoy the game. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next week.